Welcome to the Rugby Obsession podcast, everyone. We're ready for another deep dive, and today we're tackling the latest news on Springbok legend, EBEN ETZEBETH'S recovery.
Yeah.
His concussion recovery. You guys sent this article our way, and it brings up some interesting stuff about this whole situation.
That does.
Pretty crucial player, and it's definitely got fans talking.
For sure.
So if you're as obsessed with rugby as we are, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives. All right, let's jump right in.
All right.
So, first things first, we're looking at EBEN ETZEBETH.
Yep.
Springbok legend.
Of course.
Sustained a concussion against Exeter Chiefs back in December.
Right. December 7th, to be exact.
December 7th. Okay. So that's, over 3 months ago now?
Yeah, definitely well beyond what's considered a typical recovery time for a concussion, which is usually around 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That alone kind of tells you this wasn't just a minor bump on the head. Either the impact was pretty severe initially, or maybe he's just having a more complicated recovery than usual.
Yeah. And to add to that, there was news just recently that he actually had a bit of a setback.
Oh, yeah.
Just when it seemed like he was ready to make a comeback.
I remember that.
The Sharks confirmed he won't be available this week because some of those concussion symptoms, they kind of flared up again.
Makes sense.
And the Sharks coach, John Plumtree,
Right.
his comments were, I think, really telling.
Yeah.
He said something like, "I'm scared to tell you anything positive."
Yeah.
Just emphasizing how unpredictable this whole recovery process can be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, concussions, there's still such a bit of a mystery, even with all the research and advances.
For sure.
But he did say that Etzebeth is still training, looking good. So there's still hope he could be back, before the end of March.
Fingers crossed. So it's like this push and pull between progress and then the risk of relapse. What's the medical team supposed to do? How cautious should they be? It's a really tough situation.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act for the medical staff and the coaches. They're trying to manage his recovery, but also, they've got to think about the team's performance.
And his long-term health. We're talking about someone's brain here.
Exactly.
This isn't just a sprained ankle.
Right.
But what's really encouraging is that everyone seems to be putting his welfare first.
Totally agree.
There's some quotes in this article attributed to Erasmus, and it sounds like it's probably a coach or someone from the team.
Okay.
And they're basically emphasizing that they would never bring a guy back too early.
Good.
And that Etzebeth has to be completely symptom-free.
Yeah, 100%.
No compromises.
That's good to hear. It seems like there's a real commitment to protecting the player's long-term health.
Absolutely. And to back that up, there's this official statement from the Sharks as well.
Right.
They confirmed the relapse, and they made it really clear that Etzebeth is being managed by concussion specialists.
Oh, that's great. Having the specialists involved really adds an extra layer of assurance,
Definitely. And they'll be the ones ultimately clearing him to return when he's fully recovered, not the coaches, which I think is huge.
I think so, too. Shows how seriously clubs are taking these head injuries now.
Right. It's not just about getting the player back on the field as quickly as possible anymore.
Yep.
They're actually prioritizing the player's well-being, even if it means they might miss a few more games. It's a big shift from how things used to be, I think.
For sure, a positive shift.
Now, the article also threw out a really interesting question for all of you listening. What is your favorite Springbok Etzebeth moment? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so head over to the comments and share your memories. It's a great way to celebrate his incredible career, all those iconic tackles and line-out steals.
So many to choose from.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more.
Definitely.
Now, this whole situation with Etzebeth, it really gets you thinking about the complexities of concussion recovery and how important it is to be cautious and put the player's health first. It's a reminder that these timelines, they're not always straightforward.
Yeah.
And that sometimes the best approach is just to wait and see. What are your thoughts on the protocols and how this is all being handled?
I think it raises some important questions about the pressures on players to return to play, even when they might not be fully ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the role of the medical professionals in making those decisions.
They have to be the ones ultimately making the call, right?
Yeah.
Not the coaches, not the fans, just the doctors.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Great discussion.
Thanks for joining us here on the Rugby Obsession podcast. We really appreciate you listening.
We do.
And don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more in-depth rugby analysis. We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay tuned.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks again for listening.
Cheers.